Meanwhile, at the Hall of the Justice League, the Super Friends are getting ready to listen to the Adventures of podcast with Peter Alden and Pete Gould.
Hi, this is Burt Ward, Robin from the TV series Batman.
This is Shannon Farnan, the voice of Wonder Woman on Super Friends.
This is Michael Gray, Billy Batson on the television series Shazam.
Hi, this is John Davey, Captain Marvel from the TV series Shazam.
Hi, this is Kathy Garber, Firestar on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Holy podcast, Batman! Is it time to listen to Peter Alden and Pete Gould?
Of course, Robin. Sit tight, old chum. Here they come.
All right, everybody. My name is Peter Alden. Welcome to the Adventures of Podcast. My co-host, Peter Gould, is on assignment right now. That's a tricky way of saying he just doesn't like being on camera. But we would like to welcome Miss Joanna Pang Atkins to our show. Joanna, thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And now you get to answer all these questions you've answered so many other times.
Okay.
So this might only take 15 minutes or so.
Okay. Maybe I have some new stories for you.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
So before we get to the secrets of Isis, because as you know, we're a superhero podcast. And so, we'll get to the secrets of Isis in just a moment. But I know that there might be a few people who are not familiar with you or your work, and you have a dance background and an acting background. Can you just kind of let everybody know a little bit about yourself, your life before getting into show business, and then what brought you into show business?
Okay. Well, I basically only remember my life in show business from the time I was really young. My mother taught at San Francisco Ballet. So my brother and I started dancing when we were very, very young and sort of grew up at San Francisco Ballet. However, there was a certain point where we wanted to do other things. So my mother encouraged us to audition for musical theater. And even though we didn't have like a jazz background, with the ballet training, we were able to pick up the dance combinations really, really quickly. And so we got hired, a lot. But my first TV show was like American Bandstand. And,
okay.
So my brother's best friend was taking ballroom dance lessons. And because my brother and I always danced, he said, come and take the ballroom dance lessons with me. And so my brother went, and I was much younger, and I was really upset that I couldn't take, but I went to every lesson and watched. And I was really young because you had to be, I think, 13 or something. And I was young, and finally the instructor said I could take the lessons too. Well, not only did we take the lessons, but we became junior instructors. Nice. And as a result of that, CBS actually had a show called Dance Party, which was like American Bandstand, only it just played in California, up and down in some selected cities. So my brother and I were actually invited to do a special dance demonstration on this show. And that little 5-minute segment generated a lot of fan mail. And so as a result of that, they asked us to become regulars on the show. However, it was a big deal because I wasn't old enough to be a regular on the show. So from what I understood, they had meetings and stuff and said, oh no, we'll let her be on because she dances with her brother and they're such good dancers and all that. So anyway, so that was my first TV experience with my brother. And as a result of that, we were invited to be on the Lawrence Welk show. Oh. And that's a funny story because my grandmother was a huge, huge fan of Lawrence Welk. And out of all the things that I've done, national TV, Secrets of Isis, and lots of other things, us being on the Lawrence Welk show was her favorite thing.
Really, wow. Like so that. Now, what kind of and I will get back to Lawrence Welk, but now what kind of a combination was it you were teaching the kids on Dance Party?
Oh no, on Dance Party I didn't teach.
Oh, okay.
So on Dance Party, it was really like American Bandstand. They would have different celebrity singers who were promoting some new music, or they had a new record coming out. And so I don't remember exactly what, but they wanted us to come, and we were just my brother and I were featured dancing to a new record that a celebrity was promoting. I can't even remember. I could ask my brother. He probably has notes. But as a result of that, we were just regulars to come on the show and dance every day. And then we would have, different regulars would have special interviews, or sometimes when a celebrity guest would come on, they would select someone to sing the song to. And actually, this is brand new because I don't think I've talked about this much. Tony Bennett was on, and he was promoting a new record, and I was selected to be the one that he sang to.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah. So that was really
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But, as a result of that, we were interested in musical theater, and we started auditioning for local theater companies, and we did West Side Story, and I did South Pacific, and South Pacific became what a lot of actors call their bread and butter show. I've done South Pacific like a million times. My first one was with a famous woman who was really popular back then, Dorothy Collins from Your Hit Parade. A lot of people don't remember her, but it was a show that was really popular. So she was Nellie Forbush, and then I went on to do with Florence Henderson.
Wow.
Jane Powell and Howard Keel was a big tour. Giorgio Tozzi, and
you have done that show a few times.
Yeah, yes. I can't even remember all the people, but yeah. And I have made some really, really good friends from the different tours.
Oh, wow. So
and then, I'll just add, I moved to New York to really pursue theater, and I ended up doing some theater, but lots of TV.
Right. So you're doing basically the popular dances with Dance Party.
Right.
And then, so what kind of work were you doing on Lawrence Welk when you started doing Lawrence Welk?
Well, we only were on 2 shows, and this was before the era of Bobby and Barbara. Okay. So at the time, they had record hops where they would have big events like in a big gym or a big theater or something, and then they would have celebrity musicians come on and do 1 or 2 songs to promote something. So my brother and I became, semi-famous in the area from being on Dance Party. So we went to these record hops, but Lawrence Welk was coming to the Bay Area to do a concert. And maybe his agent or his promoter or whatever said, oh, we should have a guest dancer, and we know of Joey and Joanna, and they should come on and dance. Well, Lawrence Welk didn't know that we had a big following from the Dance Party show.
Dance Party. Yeah.
So when we performed with him on stage, he was so enthralled with the response that we got. He talked to my mother, because we were still pretty young, talked to my mother about flying us down to Los Angeles and being on his show. So
okay.
So we did that. So we flew down there and we did 2 shows. And then there was talk about us being on the show more often, but he felt we were too young and didn't want to uproot us. But it was like 6 months later, they hired Bobby and Barbara, who were older, to be regular ballroom dancers.
Right. Okay. And that was pre Guy and Ralna and all that. So
it was pre everything.
Wow. So you were dancing now. So how long were you and your brother a dance team?
Well, we did we did 2 different shows. It was like one time it was called the Ted Randall Show, then it was Dance Party. So I guess maybe about 2 years we did that show. Okay. But at the time we were still auditioning for musical theater and doing that. We were still going to our dance lessons. And of course we were in school, we were pretty young. And then we just started, doing other things, but whenever there's a wedding or a party, then my brother and I always dance together. Yeah.
That's awesome. So now you're in South Pacific was your bread and butter show.
Yeah.
So do you have, but of the different musicals you've done, do you have one that you just kind of sticks out that's like, man, I feel so blessed that I was able to do that show?
Oh my goodness. I guess every show has something special about it, but I guess it would have to be West Side Story.
Okay.
That was amazing to be in that show.
Okay.
And it was really interesting because of my dark hair and everything, I was one of the girls on the shark side.
All right. Okay.
But the young girl who played Anybody's was in one of the fight scenes, and she actually got a concussion and was out of the show for a little while. And so I got to move into the part of Anybody. So
okay.
Fun. Yeah.
Sorry, with the Jets for a little while.
I was with the Jets. I was with the Jets. Yeah, it was fun. And, I loved being in King and I. It was beautiful. I got to do the part of Eliza, which is the main dancer in the story telling part. I don't know. I just say they all have something special. Music Man, I was in. It was fun.
Yeah, that's both of my parents were musical directors, and the musical theater. I grew up. They had the soundtracks, and we went to several musicals in New York when I was little. So.
Oh, nice.
So musical theater. I'm quite familiar with the show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I've seen South Pacific several times. So.
I think everybody of a certain generation has seen South Pacific. And then even it was even revived, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago at Lincoln Center. And so it's a classic.
That's awesome. Okay. So now you're doing stage. So what gets you into getting back in front of the camera again then?
Well, so I moved to New York to really pursue theater, and I ended up doing mostly all TV. But and I have told this story before, but I was doing an off-Broadway musical called Morality, and it was a musical that was brought from the Edinburgh Festival, and it was a really interesting musical. The characters' names were. My name was Riches. There was Death.
Wow.
Anyway, different names like that. And in one of my monologues, I would punctuate it with a fan movement. And in the audience was a producer director of a CBS series called Patchwork Family. And after the show, he sent a message back to meet me. And he said he was really interested in the way I moved to the fan. And he would be interested in talking to me about coming on to a show that he directed, Patchwork Family. So anyway, to make a long story short, I had my agent set up a meeting with him. I went to meet him. We talked about it. I ended up being on Patchwork Family for, I don't know, 1.5 years or so.
Okay.
It was a CBS show. It was on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. It was a syndicated show. So it played throughout the country, but in different areas.
Right.
So it was a really great learning experience for me because the director was very loose about what he wanted from me. Okay. So every week, everybody, member of the family, because there was a math lady, there was a science lady, there was a great artist that I worked with who became an award-winning animator, and sometimes they paired us together to do a musical segment. And then sometimes he would say, oh, the theme this week is what would you like to do? And so I had to do a lot of creating myself. Sometimes they would bring in a few kids from another school, and we would have a rehearsal in the rehearsal room, and I would teach them a little folk dance, and then I would teach it on camera and just say to the camera, everybody watching, stand up and dance with us. And there were a lot of members of the family, so you didn't do every show, but I did like every other show or every third show, something like that. And
okay.
It was just a great, it was hard work. It was a learning experience, but I really grew from all that, having to create the idea and the costume and all that. It was fun.
That's the, I got up early on Saturday mornings. I can't say I was up at 7. I was probably not up at 7.
Yeah.
But I know the one thing, I think the first thing I remember watching in the morning was like Super Friends that came
Oh
on.
Yeah, Super Friends. Yeah.
At like 8 o'clock or something like that. So
So you missed us.
I missed you. I missed you.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was actually a result of that show that I got a call from, they call my agent, but I had a meeting with the head of children's programming in New York. And so I went to meet him, and my agent said, oh, they want to talk to you about a show. I don't really know the whole premise. They just told me that it's about ISIS. Okay. So I'm living in New York. All I think of, Italian ISIS are being sold at the street everywhere. And in fact, in my calendar book, which was actually like my diary in a sense, I have, CBS meeting, I have the name, the time, and I put ISIS, ICES.
ISIS, oh.
Yeah. I knew it was about like teens. I didn't know if they were selling the ISIS or stealing the ISIS. I didn't know, but so I go and meet him, and he's telling me about the Egyptian goddess, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I had the wrong concept.
Yeah. Wait a minute, am I going to be a juvenile delinquent? What?
Yeah. It was fun. It all happened really fast, because right at that meeting, he said, we want to fly you out to California. We want to set up a meeting with you to meet the producers of The Secrets of ISIS. And we think that you're right for that part. So I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 days I was in California. I had an agent in California already. So he picked me up. He took me to my interview audition. So I don't know, I must have been talking to them for 15 minutes. I think I did a little short scene. I don't even remember. And they said, thank you. And I walked out, and I'm just standing there talking to my agent. And one of them walks out and says, oh, you have the part. When can you move out here? It was fast. It all happened really fast.
Holy cow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So did you, and so I've got to ask, did you have the pigtails when you auditioned or not?
I did not. Okay. I did not have the pigtails.
So that was not your decision to have the pigtails.
That was absolutely not my decision. I mean, I didn't mind pigtails,
right?
But after maybe 3 episodes, because I'd never changed after 3 episodes, I had never changed my hair. It was always pigtails. So after about 3 episodes, I decided, and everybody knew, the crew knew, everybody knew, I had made an appointment with one of the producers to talk to them about my hairstyle, and I was nervous about it. And just so I went in and I met them.
You could do it. You could do it. You could do it.
I could do it. Give me courage. Yeah. So I went in and I said, I know that Cindy Lee is the character that wears her hair in pigtails all the time, but nobody wears their hair exactly the same way every single day. So could I do something else once in a while, a ponytail or something? And they said no. they wanted the pigtails.
So well, I mean, so did they give you what Cindy Lee was then? Because I the one thing I always kind of figured that Cindy Lee was like a teaching assistant.
So you know what, that question is asked a lot. I thought about it a lot because I'm calling my teacher sometimes Miss Thomas, and sometimes I'm calling her Andrea.
Yeah.
And I just felt, so I had decided for myself, because it was never really talked about. It was a Saturday morning children's show. We shot really fast. There was no in-depth analyzing the characters, but I thought about it myself, and I just figured that I was a student. I was a student who liked to be involved in the clubs, to be helpful. I wanted to be the teacher's assistant when I could help her. Right. And I also figured, because I was calling her Andrea, and because we were so close to Brian, Mr. Mason, and I did things with them on the weekend, I just figured that Andrea must have known my parents, and that maybe they were friends, and she just accepted me as her student, but as a friend too, because maybe she knew my family. I don't know. I just sort of figured it like that. Or I was just a student who just liked hanging out with my teachers, and they were very accepting and open. So
right. Well, I mean, I remember. I mean, honestly, I remember from when I was in school, you had I mean, we had kids in high school that were thinking about going in education.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were kind of, I remember the teacher would give them like extra assignments or give them the opportunity to help them in the class and
Right.
that kind of thing. So honestly, I was so they basically didn't tell you very much about.
No, no, they didn't
but
tell.
Yeah, so and this was so funny because my co-host, he doesn't like, because we've kind of, as we've talked to a few people, and just going back and learning about the shows, it seems kind of funny that the people in charge don't seem to really understand anything about anything sometimes. And I'll always put effects on my voice when I'm talking to, like the executive. It's, so it's like, well, we really don't know very much about Cindy Lee, and we can't really give you a whole backstory, but you definitely have to have pigtails. It's like, okay, yeah. She definitely has pigtails, but okay, but why?
Right. Well, because Joanna Cameron as Isis had long hair, and so they didn't want it to interfere with her long hair when she changed into the superhero Isis. As the teacher, she just had her hair in a ponytail or down, so they just wanted to keep the pigtails. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could have put you in a baseball hat or something.
Yeah, right. They could have done that.
I don't know.
They could have done that.
Honestly, I'm surprised that because she had long hair too, they didn't say, listen, could you just cut your hair and have short hair?
Well, so bringing that up, so when I was doing some theater in New York, but I ended up doing a lot of TV. I did a lot of TV commercials. And a lot of times at the audition or the interview, they would say, oh, I love your long hair. And then in so many commercials, they put me in a short wig. So I did. I actually, one of my old publicity pictures is in a short wig. Yeah.
Oh, see, and this is,
you never know. This
is just the thing that I just find so funny. And apparently it was the same way, because when we talked with John Davey about the crossovers,
mm-hmm.
the crossover episodes, they apparently didn't give him any more information about the show than they gave you, because he told a story of he actually went up to Joanna Cameron and said, is it Isis or Isis? He said Joanna was like, it's Isis.
That we knew. We knew how to say it.
But I think now I might be wrong about this, that the Shazam Isis crossovers were some of the first, if not the first, major character crossovers of shows that I can remember.
I think that's probably true.
I don't remember major characters crossing over like that in such a major way.
Yeah.
And that's I've always kind of, but Isis had a lot of firsts.
Well, she was the first woman superhero. She was before Wonder Woman and
Bionic Woman.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, you had Batgirl, but Batgirl was a third wheel. So, as they say, now all the Batman fans are going to call me.
So when they created the Secrets of Isis, they wanted a woman superhero, and they tied us into Shazam for the beginning. We were called the Shazam Isis Hour, and they wanted to tie it together. So Shazam had been the #1 Saturday morning show, and then we became the #1 Saturday.
That's right.
Morning
That's
show.
absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
But they definitely wanted to tie us together to have the lead in, and they were both Filmation shows, and so they probably maybe had crossovers in mind already.
Yeah, and both shows were coming from the aspect of we've got kids on a Saturday morning, and we can try to instill some moralistic behavior.
Yes.
And I'm sure, and Brian said as much early on in some of the conventions when you guys would go to that, how many people would come up to you that you were almost like surrogate parents or brothers and sisters, or somebody felt that they felt like they could relate to you because their home life might not have been the best. And so it's neat that you had that kind of relationship with so many.
We heard that a lot. Well, we did the Superheroes Festival a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
And from the ones that were on Zoom with us, they talked about how it shaped their lives and how they learned lessons and how to be a good person from that show. And even at Comic-Con years ago, when the DVD first came out, that was the first Comic-Con that Brian and I did. And actually, when we did the DVD, we didn't even know that there was a whole group of people that still really liked the show and were so excited about the DVD. We didn't know. And then we went to Comic-Con. People came with their little kids and even babies and said, I'm buying the DVD because I want my kids to watch this with me because it's going to shape them and it's great lessons.
It's amazing that you say that, because it really was like all of us that enjoyed that show. It's not so much that we never told people. It was, it was just kind of, that's the 70s and we moved on. And then, and I think the ISIS DVD came out first. I think it did come out before Shazam did.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so.
Yeah. And that was, and I remember all of a sudden people were like, yeah, I did. I loved that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I mean, I never missed it. Honestly, the reason we drop our podcast at 10 a.m. on Saturdays is because that's when it aired down here in Florida. Shazam ISIS came on at 10 o'clock on Saturdays down here. And so now, do you have any episodes that you did that kind of stick out as like, oh man, I really loved doing that one?
Well, the very first episode we filmed, it was the second one that aired, but it was the first one we filmed, was Fool's Dare. And I just really liked that one.
You rode
I'm
a
riding
motorcycle.
a bike.
Yeah.
I'm climbing the fence. I'm jumping into the junkyard. And I thought, oh, this is great because I like being active. I was a dancer. I could climb fences. And that was just a really fun episode for me. And I just really liked that one. And the funny story about that one is that my mother was teaching a ballet class from, I guess, 10 to 11 Saturday morning. And they would stop the class and they would watch a half an hour of The Secrets of Isis. So she said all of the students in class would talk back, Cindy, don't do it. Oh, don't jump in there. So with a lot of episodes, they would talk back. So that was one of my favorites. And of course, Lucky. So many people talk about Lucky because, death hadn't been talked about a lot on a children's show. And I thought the way they did it was really beautiful.
Yeah, it was a really sad episode because, and I can't remember what I remember. The one thing I remember is Isis was trying to teach a lesson. And it was a circle of life lesson.
It was the circle of life, right? And how flowers die and they plant the seeds and they grow again, and it was just really well done.
Yeah,
well done.
I have to say it's funny. I don't know if you know about this, but when we talked with your episode Fool's Dare, it's funny that they had you on a bike, because when we talked with Michael Gray, who was Billy Batson, he said after the first season, they took his bike away from him.
Oh,
because he kept getting in, he kept scraping his knee and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, okay.
No, I felt very confident on the bike.
That's the thing. Next time we talked to him, it was like, well, apparently, Michael, they thought that Joanna was a better rider than you were. So they gave her the bike and let Cindy Lee have the bike, and Billy Batson can ride around in the RV with it.
That's right. Well, and years and years later, my husband and I and my father-in-law and our son, we would go to Atlantic City, and I have pictures of me on a bike riding on the boardwalk all the time. Yeah. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I liked it.
You cut me off and run the race. Why'd you just quit while you're ahead?
I didn't cut you off. You were afraid to take that turn at top speed. That's why I beat you.
Well, you're a pretty brave girl when it comes to bikes. This junkyard takes a different kind of guts. I don't think any girl could cut it.
I can.
Well, let's see. All you gotta do is climb over the fence. Stay there an hour.
An hour?
Frank and I were there longer than that. Well, I guess we'll just have to tell everyone she chickened out.
No, you won't.
All right, and we are back. We're talking with Joanna Pang Atkins about the secrets of ISIS right now. Now, the second season.
Yes. Okay. The second season.
My co-host said, "Don't talk to her about the second season." Don't.
No, it's fine. It's fine, really. And in fact, in one of the interviews, I'm the one who brought it up, and they went, "Oh," like they were surprised they brought it up. No, but it's a fact of show business, and and there were a lot of rumors out there. So I don't mind that people ask me, because I would rather you hear it from me. So when season 1 ended, we knew that the show was really popular. We knew that CBS was happy with everything. They sent Brian on certain events. They sent me on a great event that I loved to represent the show. We got a lot of fan mail. But when the show was over, after a while, if I wasn't doing something for CBS, I flew back to New York. Okay. So when it was about time for the second season to begin, I hadn't heard anything. And so I called my agent in California and I said, "What's going on? I think the second season is about to begin. Were we renewed?" And he said, "Let me find out." Anyway, to make a long story short, he talked to people, called me back, and he said, "It's the stock answer. We loved Joanna. We loved her character, Cindy Lee. We're going in a different direction." And that's the answer, and that happens so many times when they want to make changes, and
it does.
They don't really tell you.
It does, but it's almost like, hey, we got something that really works like a well-oiled machine. Let's change it.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's right. So
I don't because even if they wanted to bring in another character, that's fine, but then Cindy Lee could have graduated and really be as an assistant for Andrea now, or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know, at least give you a graduation ceremony.
A graduation ceremony. That would have been nice. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
But,
well, see you later, Cindy Lee. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Well, I grew up in show business, so that's just a standard answer that happens. And my mother was always around, and she was teaching and stuff. But whenever I was on location or something, she was there or somebody was there. And it was always, celebrate the great jobs that you have and just move on from the ones that you don't get. So, ISIS was a great job and I loved it. And, Brian and I are still really good friends from all those many years ago. And, that in itself is special. And the show was special. And the fact that it touched so many people was so special. But I've had some other great jobs too. But Secrets of ISIS is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say it's to me, it's always interesting to hear your response, because I think a lot of times well, just speaking for myself as a fan, we kind of get upset for you.
Well, I was disappointed. I mean, of course I was disappointed, but you can't dwell in the disappointment. You have to move on to your next job.
Right. Okay. So
get out there auditioning and all that.
Okay. So now we're moving on from the Secrets of Isis, and you were in Voices.
I was in Voices. I don't remember if I have a credit, but it was a great experience because I was one of the dancers in the show. I think we filmed for almost a week, and the combination was great. The other dancers were really great, and it was really great. And it was the first time they were, I think, one of the early times where they were featuring someone that was deaf. Well, I think it was Amy Irving who played, and she's not really deaf, but I know nowadays they probably wouldn't do that. They would really find somebody that was deaf, but she did a really wonderful job with the part, I thought.
Amy Irving and Michael Atkins.
Right.
I mean, but just some wonderful performers. Alex Rocco is in that film. Just an incredible character actor himself. So that must have been kind of did you have much interaction with any of the main performers?
I think there's one little part in the dance, in one of the dance scenes where I bump into Amy Irving because of course she can't see, and I bumped into her, but that was it. Yeah, no, that was all.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's still really, I mean, I remember when I do remember when that film came out.
There was some controversy about it even that many years ago because she wasn't deaf.
Right. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
They were upset because why didn't they hire a deaf actress?
Right.
And I don't know. It's well, it goes back to, like you said, you got to have certain names in certain spots, and now it was Amy a dancer? Because that could have been another reason why they hired her.
Sometimes if you're cast in a part, you do really, really intensive training. So like many dancers take classes every day. She would be training, 4 hours a day to perfect what they wanted her to do for a particular segment. So I don't know. I remember that she danced very well in the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's because you kind of did a little bit more. It was Don't Miss the Boat. Is that Charlie Chan?
Yes, and that's very interesting because it was the first movie owned and produced by Showtime. However, if you look at any of their sites, you can't find it. And there's some Don't Miss the Boat, that's some animated show, I think about a whale or something like that. And somebody put that up on my IMDb page, which I have never put anything up there anyway. So everything that's on there, somebody else put up. But maybe it wasn't the best movie in the world, but it was a great, fun job because we filmed it on a cruise ship. And then we did filming on the different islands. We were in St. Thomas. We filmed in Puerto Rico. And I can't even remember all the stops, but it was a great job. It was Charlie Chan's widow and daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was originally planned as a comedy special with the one who did the puppet a long time ago, and the one who throws all the confetti with the blonde spiky hair.
I know.
And
I'll think of it while I'm editing.
But it was a fun job, and it did air on Showtime, and also it was the first movie where they were using some kind of new camera or new video something, because I remember trying to look it up to find out about it, and the article that I found was about the new technical stuff.
Okay.
but it was interesting, yeah. And then we had the celebrity impersonators. So we had someone that looked like Elizabeth Taylor. We had someone who looked like Richard Nixon, and we had a Marilyn Monroe look-alike. It was a fun job. Yeah, it was a fun job.
Well, and it's funny because when I was looking at your different credits and it just lists number one daughter, I'm like, okay, what's that? And then as soon as I saw Charlie Chan, it's like, okay, number one daughter, number one son. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was like solving a mystery. I can't even remember what the mystery was, but
mystery solved. Mystery solved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go over the last thing that IMDb has for you, which is Nothing Lasts Forever.
Oh, that was so like I said, I didn't ever do anything with my IMDb page. So all that stuff other people.
So you're like, oh, I was in that? Okay.
Yes. Well, actually, because of the pandemic, I've been cleaning out some files and throwing stuff away. And I saw a contract for a movie, and I thought, I don't remember ever being in this movie. I don't remember the name of this movie, but my pay stub was there. So I guess I did something. But Nothing Lasts Forever was very interesting. There were about 7 moon maidens, and the moon maidens were all Asian. Okay. We had to create our own language, and we had to create this song. And it was about Bill Murray flying to space, and we were the greeters we were the Moon Maiden greeters, and we had to create a little hula dance. It was a fun job. I have pictures with him that are up on my Facebook page.
Oh, it
was a really, really fun job. Until one of the girls, we all had microphones under our sarongs, and one of the microphone battery packs exploded, and she got burned. She's okay, but it was fun until that happened. Yeah, and Bill Murray was really nice, and he wanted to take pictures with us, and yeah, it was fun.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. And now, had you gotten married before that, or you got married after that, and then?
No, after that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, after that. And so one of the things that's not on there, which was also really great. I like my little bit of history with Saturday Night Live, and
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, way back in the day. So you know how they have the special commercial skits.
Oh, those are some of the Saturday Night Live commercials.
They're fun. I did one with Gilda Radner, and
wow.
Yeah, it was great, and that's my little bit of history with Saturday Night Live. So it was a skit. It was a takeoff on Jordache jeans, and I don't know if you remember that old commercial, but it's a tall model with blonde hair, and she dances with her hands up in the air. So the skit was Jewish jeans, and that was on the back of our pockets, our jean pockets.
Right.
And we just danced, and and Gilda Radner, of course, had all the lines and all that. It was great to work with her and to have that little bit of history.
Oh, that's fun. Did you get a chance to meet any of the other regulars at that time?
No, we actually didn't film at Rockefeller Center where they film the live show. Okay. We pre-recorded the commercial in a studio downtown somewhere.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, because it was a long night. I think we had to show up, I don't know, 3:00 in the afternoon, and we didn't finish until like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was like a night shoot. Yeah. But she was really nice, and there were 2 other women. So it was 3 women and Gilda. Yeah.
That's awesome. And that was the original Not Ready for Primetime Players.
Yes, exactly. And I think it was the best then.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to work with the best cast that they ever had. So.
That's what I think. And it was really fun because I think on one of their big anniversaries, I don't know if it was the 20th or 25th, it was one of the big anniversaries, they aired that spot. And my nieces who live in Hawaii, I think they emailed me right and said, "Oh my God, there's my aunt on that Saturday Night Live." They were so excited.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know it was on.
Probably blew their mind because they had no idea that they were going to see that.
Yeah, right.
That's amazing, Senator.
Yeah.
Okay, so now was this an active decision on your part to just kind of move back into more full-time dancing?
Well, it's just sort of how things happen. I always felt lucky enough so that when I moved to New York, I had enough work so that so many of my friends were working as waitresses or taking side jobs or temp work. And I felt lucky enough because I did a lot of everything. So if I wasn't auditioning, I was going to 2 or 3 dance classes a day. I was taking singing lessons once a week. So I was auditioning for theater, I was auditioning for film, I was doing a lot of modeling work, and I was doing a lot of commercials. So really, I was working a lot in commercials, and I was never tall enough to be a fashion model, but I did like commercial modeling. Like I have a funny picture balancing paper towels, and so a lot of different things like that. But it was sort of like after I got married and had a son, I traveled with my husband a little. And then when my son was in kindergarten, I talked to the principal, and she invited me to teach 1 day a week world dance. So my other opportunity was that I was able to travel quite a bit with an Asian dance company. And I traveled to I always say I traveled around the world, but I didn't go everywhere. But I went to a lot, not everywhere, but I went to a lot of different countries. And when you're working in a country as opposed to just being a tourist, you get a different feel of the place. And I loved meeting the people, learning about their culture, seeing the tourist sites, of course, too, and learning about their dances and their history and all of that. So later, when my son was in kindergarten, I started teaching world dance every Friday to his kindergarten class.
Okay.
And the principal of his school found it so interesting that she asked my husband to write a little kindergarten play incorporating all the dances. So that was my first start into doing dance residencies. And my son is all grown up. He's married now. Okay. And so that's how long I've been doing this. And what has been so rewarding is not only schools, so many schools have me back year after year that it's become a rite of passage for a particular grade level. But for me, it's seeing, well, yes, they have to learn their dance steps, and yes, they have to perform, and yes, they have to give speeches about the country, the flag, the history. So it's an all-inclusive kind of residency program. But seeing day one, the kids who are nervous about, being on stage, or particularly boys who think, oh, what is this? Are we going to dance, or do we have a partner or not? But just to see them grow and grow and grow, every day until by the end of my 2 weeks, they are ready for their performance and excited. It's like they blossom, they come out of their shell. And one of our favorite quotes is that this little 3rd grade girl, she was being interviewed by a newspaper, and I guess she was asked, what did you learn from the residency? And they probably thought she would say something about the country or whatever. She said, I thought I was a shy girl, but I found out that I'm not a shy girl.
Oh, that's great.
So it's just great. The other thing that's so special to me is that my dance residency is all inclusive. So I have had students in wheelchairs that participate. I had an incredible athlete who uses a walker. And when his class had selected Brazil, I thought that's a really fast-paced moving dance. And I talked to his physical therapist and the principal. I said, do you think that we should change the dance? And they said, no, he can do everything. His mother sat in the audience and cried. She was so thrilled. And what was special about that, his friends decorated his walker in the green and yellow colors of Brazil. And, he led one of the circle parts, and he was fantastic. I've had a child that was blind, and he did not want his aide to walk him on stage. The student standing next to him walked him on stage. Oh. So it's been an amazing experience for me to become a teaching artist.
That's now. Did you have to pivot a little bit? Obviously, when you weren't allowed to be there because of the pandemic.
Oh my goodness, that has put a change in my whole life, actually. Yeah, I will never forget. Friday the 13th was March. Friday the 13th was my last day in school. It happened to be the day that the students were supposed to perform. I had 5 different 3rd grade classes that were performing dances around the world. And so when I walked in that morning, I knew something was coming. So I immediately was called to go and see the principal, and she said the administrators have canceled any activities where parents were going to come to be involved in anything. So what we're going to do, the students are going to put on all their costumes. They're going to do the whole program just like there's an audience, and we're going to record it. And then we'll send the link out to the parents. So they did everything. It was great. And the few teachers and they couldn't have an audience. So like the other students couldn't come and watch. But, we did our Parade of Nations. They did their welcome speeches, and they recorded everything. And it was great fun. And the teachers that were there were really loud and applauding. And so the kids performing still felt like a show.
Oh, that's neat. So now, did I hear you say on another interview that you are back in the schools now?
No, not yet. For this whole year, well, from March to now, I have done 1 Zoom dance residency, and I wasn't reluctant to do it. I was excited to do it and to see how it would go. And the particular school that called me to do this, it was their 10-year anniversary of World Dance with me. So when the principal called, she said, I don't want to miss our 10-year celebration. What do you think we can try? How do you think this will work on Zoom? And I said, let's try it. And I was really, really happy with how it came out. All the kids were in their little boxes. And sometimes you'd have to say, tilt your camera a little, I can't see you, or, move your chair or something like that. But they all responded. They all knew me already. I've been at the school for 10 years, only for 2 weeks. But when I'm there, the students who are not participating in the residency all come to see the school performance, and then we do a parent performance. So they all know me. I've been around for 10 years. So they were excited to have it. And when the final day was on Zoom, part of the Zoom was live and part of it was pre-recorded. We had 400 people sign in to watch their performance, and it was really, really nice. And I've talked to a lot of other schools about it. What I did when the pandemic hit, for 2 weeks I did nothing. Okay, so I can rest my legs. But then I thought, the kids are going to be have virtual learning. Like 9 contracts were canceled. And I thought, and then the Arts Council that I worked through, Morris Arts, they said, well, why don't you do a little teaching dance video? So I did a YouTube video for a few different countries, just short, 10 minutes. And I sent it to all my schools. And I said, because you're all virtual, I'm just offering you this just as a little dance break for the kids. And they loved it. So, but I mean, it wasn't a job. I just did it for them. And
yeah. See, that's the thing. And I can imagine, though, with the Zoom, that's kind of opened you up even more.
It does. But so all my regular schools that I've talked to said, no, they've
don't go anywhere else.
they didn't want to do Zoom. They want me in person. They want the costumes and the flags and all of that. So, of course, for the Zoom residency, I couldn't take costumes or go to school. Half the kids were at home in their boxes and half the kids were actually in school. So it was both. But for something like Italy, I bring all the girls either red skirts or green skirts, and the boys all wear red or green sashes, and they wear ribbons or flowers in their hair and sashes and stuff. So I couldn't do that. So I just said, wear something, anything you have red, white, or green to just represent the colors of the Italian flag. So we still made it as festive as we could without all the traditional costumes or traditional dress and all of that.
Okay, so now did I hear you right earlier that it's basically up to the schools or the students that are taking that particular one, they get to pick what country they want to?
Oh, well, no, not exactly.
Okay.
So
I knew I was wrong.
Well, sometimes the kids know me well enough so they know before I'm coming. I have a planning meeting with the teachers, and we select the countries, sometimes according to the ethnic diversity in the classroom, or sometimes a teacher has a particular love for a country. And also I have a pretty extensive website where all the different countries and dances are listed that they can select from. So, the teachers and I have a planning meeting with the principal, and we talk about the makeup of the class. Could we do a partner dance or not a partner dance? How are the students communicating with each other? We work on that a lot too, how to work together as a group. And the teachers basically select the countries.
Okay.
And then once they're selected, then they do a lot of different projects. They might make posters of the foods of the country or the sports of the country. So it's a takeoff on a whole unit of study.
Yeah, so it's themed. It's themed.
Yeah, the theme.
Okay, that's great. So now, are you pretty much booked up for the year, or do you have openings? And how would a school get in touch with you?
Well, schools are already starting to book me for 21 to 22. Most of the times, so all my regular schools know to book me early. And then besides my regular schools, I always have a few new schools. If you call me, say, in January, I am usually totally booked up until June. So if they call me in January, I said, I could find dates for you for the following school year. But besides residencies, I do assembly programs where you just go in for like an hour and just do a program on 2 or 3 different countries with audience participation. And that I can always find a day here and there.
Okay. So do you have a website that we can direct them to, or do you want to just use your email or?
Oh, no, I have a website. Yeah. So the website is just my name, www.joannapangatkins.com. No hyphen in my name. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I got to change that on my liner notes.
That's right. You got to change that. And also I work through Morris Arts, which is a cultural organization. And I've been with them for a really, really long time. And they place me in schools, or schools contact them. They have a huge website and a big following.
Okay. Now, is that website the same one that, say, your fans can write for autograph picture? Do you offer that?
Oh, yeah. No, fans can write me. In fact, it's joanna.cindylee@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Or my website has a different email too, so they can write me there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so anyway, that's what I do. And another project that I did that was not on IMDb also, because I never put anything up there. This was really exciting because this was the very first time I was involved in a brand new musical, from the staged reading with like 6 people to a workshop with about 20 people to the multi-million-dollar production. So, and this was after I was married and I had a son. My son would come to rehearsal sometimes, as long as somebody was with him.
Right.
And this was at Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey, which is a big, big theater, very popular theater here. And the show was called Sayonara, based on the old movie. And so with all the musicals that I've done, it's just so exciting to be involved in the development stages. And that was really, really fun. And just a funny story about that. When my son, who was 4 or 5, I think, when my husband brought him to see the show, I said, all right, mommy's going to sing a song and I'm going to wave. And you can't say anything. And you can't like say, oh, there's mommy on stage or anything like that. And I took him to the theater to see it, and, to see where he would be sitting and all that. And so we were singing Sayonara, and in Sayonara you wave. And so I could see my son, he was sitting in the 4th row, and I was waving, and I sang to him, because you could look at different parts of the audience, and he went like this. He was very good, and he didn't talk out loud. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and that was just a wonderful experience, just to be in the whole process of developing a new musical.
Okay. Wow, that's awesome. So, you know what? And I can't believe I didn't ask you this when we were talking about your career in South Pacific.
Yeah.
Have you played Bloody Mary yet, or?
No, I always thought that I would grow into that part, but even though I had a lot of singing lessons, I always felt that I would probably never do Bloody Mary because I would not be as good as all my Bloody Marys singing Bow to Heaven.
Well, I can tell you though, from watching you and Brian on the virtual Super Friends, you and Brian need to go on the road with a comedy act.
Yes, I mentioned we do a lot of our podcasts together. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, okay. I laughed so hard.
I know he's a character. He's fun. It's just that we've been together for so long. He's a great friend.
It's easy to see that you're both very comfortable with each other, and it was great fun. We were thinking, and I don't know how this would happen, but one of the things we do in our podcast is we have every now and again what we call the Adventures of Theater, where we'll have a TV show or a movie in the background, and we'll do like what do they call it, the commentary, commentary as fans, and my co-host had wanted me to ask you, would you and Brian be willing to maybe do a couple of episodes of ISIS with us?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't know how we do that over Zoom. Again, the best laid plans, as they say.
Right. I would have to watch some of the episodes to refresh my memory. It's funny because some things I remember very, very well, and other things, if I watch an old episode, I thought, oh, I didn't remember that. Someone posted a picture of me looking up at Tut and having a conversation with Tut. And when I saw that picture, I thought, whoa, I don't remember having a conversation with Tut. But
okay, speaking of Tut, because I did read somewhere that Joanna Cameron did not like working with Tut.
No, she didn't like working with Tut.
And Brian is like, I didn't have a problem.
No, I didn't. I just didn't even remember that I had the conversation with Tut. Now, Brian and I basically didn't have a problem with anything. It's like, know your lines, hit your mark. It was, we shot 2 shows a week and long days. Yeah. And they didn't have a lot of time for any issues, show up on time, know your lines, hit your mark.
Yeah, we've learned that was the same thing with the Shazam cast too.
Yes, they did 2 shows a week also.
Yeah. But no, with our theater, what we do is, we're watching it live. So you would be watching it with us, and we have people at home. We say, get your DVD. We got the DVD lined up, and then we'll count down for everybody to start their DVDs at home. Yeah. To watch it. So we would be watching it with you. Okay. I haven't figured out how we're going to do that yet. So, but whatever. So that would be awesome. But Joanna, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me again.
One last thing, like I said, because I was going through different things, and I'm like, oh my God, everything I wanted to ask her, everybody else has already asked her. So I want to ask you, is there anything that when you do an interview show that you maybe kind of think, man, I wish somebody would give me an opening to talk about this or that? So I'm giving you that opening right now. Is there anything in your career that you can think of that, well, I wish people would ask me about this?
Well, I don't know. Nobody ever asked me what was the favorite TV commercial I did.
Well, let's go there. What was the favorite TV commercial that you did? How about that for an opening?
I don't know. That's kind of a silly question, but
hey, I've not done any TV commercials, so I can.
Okay. Well, sometimes when you shoot a commercial, there's so much fun, and sometimes it's just a job, and you're in and you're out. But So one of my favorites was one of the very, very early Dr. Pepper commercials. And it's singing, I'm a pepper, you're a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Okay.
Right.
So I think that the one that I did was one of the first ones because I can't even find it anywhere. But it was an interesting audition because my agent didn't tell me it was a dance audition. She told me they're shooting a Dr. Pepper commercial in a library, and this was before we knew the singing commercial for Dr. Pepper. They're shooting in a library, and they want a few students in there in the library. So I said, okay. That's all she said. So I showed up in the audition with sandals, jeans, and a white shirt. And I walked into the audition. There must have been 25 or 30 young women there, all in dance clothes, leotards, tights. Okay, what do I do? So I said, well, they want students in a library and they wouldn't be wearing dance clothes, so I just dance in my jeans and shirt. Oh, I got the part.
You got the part.
Yeah, well, like 6 of us got the part. Yeah. But it was really, really fun because they wanted us to sing, and then they choreographed the dance, and then we were not being so quiet and good in the library, and we were drinking our Dr. Pepper, and the librarian was having a difficult time, and we give her a bottle of Dr. Pepper, and she drinks it, and her chair behind her desk starts spinning, and her hair comes out, and she's smiling and dancing. It was just such a fun shoot, and we had to lip sync everything because they did the singing recording in a recording studio, and then they did the commercial in a big studio, and so we had to lip sync all the stuff. So I don't know, that was a really fun job.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything. People have asked lots of different questions. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going through and I was like, okay, what can I ask her? And they're like, nope, they asked her that. Nope, they asked her that.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody asked me about that. Oh, and the other thing, I don't know if you can even see it, but I'm sitting in my office in my house. And right behind me is the poster from Comic-Con.
Okay.
That's Brian on the end, me in the center, and Ronalda, who played Rennie in season 2. Okay. And that's when I first met her at Comic-Con. And she's really, really nice. And I think people thought I'd be upset. No, we embraced. We're friends on Facebook. It's not her fault that she was great. Yeah,
she's just an actor picking up a paycheck.
Yeah, and then below that, in the center picture, is the copy of the ISIS DVD.
Oh wow, that's neat. So that's great. That's awesome. Well, great, Joanna. Thank you once again for joining us here in the Adventures of. You've been a real joy, and I really appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. I hope next time I get to meet Pete.
Yes, I hope so too. We'll put a mask on him or something. So
okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
I don't know how to thank you, Captain Marvel.
Well, I do. Just don't get into a situation where I'll have to do this again.
And you, Isis?
Same goes for me. Just don't do it again.
Oh, don't worry. I've learned my lesson. 2 lessons. If people like you and Captain Marvel and Greg can go through what you did just for me, well, maybe I'm not as worthless as I thought.
Good girl, Carrie. What's the second lesson?
No more crazy stunts like this, ever.
I think you'll have some explaining to do to the Coast Guard. False distress signal is a very serious matter.
I know. It was a dumb thing to do.
Well, anyway, you're safe and the boat's safe. And let me tell you, I'm glad about that because I put a lot of work into that boat.
You put into it? Well, what about me and Andrea?
Speaking of Andrea, she missed all the excitement again. You know, Isis, I'm beginning to think that Andrea's afraid of you. I mean, you are pretty rough competition for a woman.
Really? What would you think of Captain Marvel as competition for a man?
Cindy and Carrie, why don't I give you a ride home?
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
The Adventures of podcast with Pete Gould and Peter Alden is part of the Theme Parkology Network. All trademarks, product names, company names, and logos mentioned are the property of their respective owners. All opinions stated within do not necessarily reflect the opinions of DC Comics, Marvel Comics, or any other production company.